Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a couple of really interesting Stephen King stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You Like It Darker from If It Bleeds
Uh-huh.
and the novella Later.
Nice.
So get ready for a journey through the lives of a famous writer and his artist brother whose paths kind of intersect with these uncanny events
Mm-hmm.
and this mysterious young woman.
That's good.
Then we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit and explore the haunting tale of a man plagued by a recurring dream.
Yeah.
And then the relentless investigator who's convinced of his guilt.
Interesting.
So these stories really make you think about, like, the nature of talent, the weight of guilt,
Mm-hmm.
and the blurred lines between reality and dreams.
I like it already.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the Carmody brothers from You Like It Darker. You've got Thaddeus. He goes by Pop.
Okay.
He's the writer.
Right.
And then Butch, the artist.
Okay.
Both achieving success later in life, which is interesting in itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, what were they doing before their fame hit?
Exactly.
Right.
Like, were they just, like, regular dudes?
Right. They had these, like, seemingly ordinary beginnings,
Yeah.
but then sudden fame and fortune.
Yeah, and it all seems to coincide with this mysterious encounter they had when they were younger
Oh, wow.
with this young woman named Yella.
Okay.
So that's what I call intriguing, right?
Yeah, their big break happening
Yeah.
right after this encounter.
Yeah.
Makes you think, are these events connected somehow?
Yeah, like how random is that?
Right. It's like
Coincidental.
there's a reviewer once said about Pop's first book, not much happens in the first 100 pages,
Yeah.
but the reader is drawn on anyway
Okay.
because there are violins.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe that applies to their lives too, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's this underlying tension,
Oh,
this sense that something's about to happen,
right.
but you don't know what.
And then Yella enters the picture.
Oh, here we go.
The brothers find her collapsed in the woods, and she's described as having this strange, almost mannequin-like appearance.
Really?
Yeah, it's creepy.
Wow.
And they revive her with an EpiPen
Okay.
and what she calls the breath of life.
The breath of life, huh?
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put it.
I know, right? It's a really unsettling scene.
Yeah.
She's not just grateful, like, oh my God, you saved my life, thank you.
Yeah.
There's something eerie about her comment about the breath being more than life.
Yeah, like she knows something we don't.
Totally.
Okay.
So immediately after this encounter, both brothers experience this burst of creative inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Pop's writing takes off, and he
Yeah.
becomes this best-selling author.
And what about Butch?
Same thing. Butch finds similar success in the art world.
That's crazy.
Oh, right?
But then you've got Mark, Pop's son,
Yes,
who seems like super skeptical about the whole thing.
he is.
So he represents that more grounded perspective.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
He's questioning if their talents were really given by Yila,
Ah.
or if there's, like, a rational explanation.
Like, was it just a coincidence?
Right.
Or did this encounter just, like, awaken something within them? It
Exactly.
was already there.
Yeah, and then things get even weirder.
Oh, no?
After Pop dies,
Okay.
Mark finds this strange glowing case
Wow.
among his father's belongings.
A glowing case.
A glowing case.
Wow.
And he tries to activate it, but nothing happens.
So what was in that case?
Right. That's where King really gets you thinking.
Yeah.
What was in the case?
Was it connected to Yilla somehow?
Was it the source of their talent?
Did she give them their talent?
Or was it something else entirely?
Right.
Like, we don't know.
So many questions.
So many questions.
Like he's dangling this mystery in front of us,
He is.
but he's not giving us all the answers.
I know, and that's what makes him such a good storyteller, right?
Oh, yeah. He definitely keeps you hooked.
Yeah.
You're constantly trying to, like, piece together the puzzle.
Yes.
But they're always missing pieces.
I know.
And then just when you think you're starting to understand,
Yeah.
he throws in another curveball.
Always a curveball.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of curveballs,
I mean,
let's move on to Later,
Yeah.
which introduces us to a completely different character, Danny Coughlin.
Okay.
He's a former alcoholic working as a school janitor
Right.
and is just trying to, like, rebuild his life.
So Danny's story is interesting because
Very.
he's such an everyman figure.
Yes.
He's just trying to get by,
Yeah.
deal with his past,
Yeah.
you know, make a decent life for himself.
Right.
But then this recurring dream starts to haunt him.
Yeah, this dream, though, it's not your typical, like,
What is it?
oh, I dreamt I was flying kind of thing.
Okay.
He keeps seeing this image
Yeah.
of a hand protruding from the ground
Oh, God.
behind this abandoned gas station
Okay.
with a closed sign.
Oh, that's creepy.
And there's a dog digging up the hand.
That's so unsettling.
Okay, all right.
Gets under your skin.
Yeah.
I think that's what King does so well.
Yes.
He taps into those primal fears,
Yeah.
those things that we don't want to think about.
Right, they lurk in the shadows of our subconscious.
Exactly.
So Danny's like struggling with what to do about this.
I bet.
On one hand,
Yeah.
it's just a dream. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, it feels so real.
Right.
So real and so urgent,
He's torn between dismissing it
Yeah,
and feeling like he has to investigate.
exactly.
Like something's pulling him
Yes.
towards something he doesn't understand.
Yes, and that's exactly what he ends up doing.
What? No way.
Yeah, he actually drives to the gas station.
So he went to the gas
To
station.
the gas station from his dream.
Wow.
And finds a body.
Oh, my God.
He reports it, but then his dream becomes like the central focus of the police investigation. I know, so that's where the theme of guilt and innocence starts to take center stage.
Okay.
And Danny becomes like the prime suspect.
What? Just because of his dream?
Just because of his dream.
That's crazy.
I know.
Wow, that's wild.
So then enter the investigators.
Okay.
Inspector Frank Jalbert,
Okay.
who is absolutely convinced of Danny's guilt.
Wow, really?
And then there's Inspector Ella Davis,
What?
who's initially a little more open-minded,
Uh-huh.
but Jalbert becomes obsessed with framing Danny.
What?
Yeah.
Even though he's innocent?
Even though he's innocent, yeah.
Wow.
He even plants drugs on him.
Oh, my God, that's messed up.
I know, and the irony is, Danny is a recovering alcoholic
Right.
framed for drug possession.
That's awful.
I know, right?
It really highlights how easily the truth can be distorted
Yeah.
when someone's determined to believe a certain narrative.
Totally. So Danny keeps insisting he's innocent.
Okay.
He even offers to take a polygraph test.
Oh.
But the police refuse.
Wow, are you serious?
I know, it's infuriating, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It feels like the system is, like, working against him.
Totally.
Yeah, it raises some questions about the justice system and how easily it can be manipulated, especially when someone in a position of authority is fixated on this particular outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then just when you think things can't get any worse for Danny,
Uh-oh.
there's this crazy twist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, twists.
We're going to have to save that
Okay.
for after the break, though.
Come on.
I know.
All right.
But we'll be right back with more of our deep dive into Stephen King's You Like It Darker and Later.
Can't wait.
I know, me neither. So before the break, we were talking about Danny Coughlin,
Yeah.
the recovering alcoholic who's trying to rebuild his life.
Right.
And he's being haunted by this crazy dream.
Yeah, super vivid.
Yeah, and then we've got Jalbert, the investigator,
Right.
who's just totally convinced that Danny's guilty.
Oh, he's so sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no question.
I know. King does such a good job of, like, ratcheting up the tension.
He really does.
Just like, rooting for Danny.
Oh, totally.
But it just seems like all the evidence is stacked against him.
Yeah, and it's that classic,
Yeah.
like, wrong man scenario.
Exactly.
And Jalbert is so focused on proving his theory
Yes.
that he's missing, like, the real story.
Yes. And it's just a great example of how our own biases can just blind us to the truth.
Totally.
Like he's so certain that he's right
Yeah.
that he doesn't even consider anything else.
He's not even open to, like, other possibilities.
And that leads to the twist.
Oh, yeah, the twist.
In the hospital,
Okay.
when Jalbert tries to kill Danny.
Oh, my God, he tries to kill him.
Yes.
In the hospital.
In the hospital. He just goes totally off the rails.
And just, like, loses it.
Loses it.
Wow.
And tries to finish what he thinks Danny started.
Oh, so he thinks Danny actually did it.
Oh, he's convinced. Thankfully, Davis, his partner,
Oh, yeah.
stops him.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, just in time.
That's intense.
And that's when everything comes out.
Oh, really?
Jalbert was the one who leaked Danny's name
No way.
to the media
Why?
to try to force a confession
Oh, my God.
or expose Danny.
Wow, what a betrayal.
I know.
So he was setting Danny up the whole time.
the whole time.
Wow, that's a total shocker.
It is.
It's like, it just flips the whole narrative. Like,
the investigative.
the symbol of, like, justice
Yeah,
becomes the villain.
I know. And poor Danny, who is
Yeah.
already struggling with so much.
Yeah, like his past
Yeah.
and now this horrible accusation.
I know.
It's like he almost becomes a victim of the system.
Yes, the very system
Yeah.
that's supposed to protect him.
Oh, my God, that's awful.
Right. It's such a powerful commentary
Yeah.
on the flaws of the justice system
Yeah.
and just how easily it can be manipulated.
Right. Like, we put so much faith in the system.
We do.
And then to see it, like, used against someone who's innocent,
It's
look
terrifying.
really scary.
So Jalbert has this mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Danny's vindicated,
Thank goodness.
but he's traumatized.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's like a bittersweet victory, you know?
It is. It is.
Justice is served, but
But at what cost?
exactly.
So now we've got these two stories,
Yeah.
right? Like it's darker
Mhm.
later,
Okay.
and they seem very different.
Yeah, they are. Kind of.
But as we're diving deeper, we're seeing all these like interesting connections emerge.
Yeah, totally.
Like these themes of guilt and innocence
Right.
that are just woven throughout both of these stories.
Right, like with the Carmody brothers
Yeah.
and their, like, sudden fame and where did that talent come from?
Right.
And then Danny,
Yeah.
whose goodness is really being tested.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how we even perceive talent, right?
That's a good point.
Like, is it something that's like earned
Yeah.
or given?
Yeah, like, are you born with it?
Yeah.
Or do you develop it?
Or is it bestowed upon you
Right.
by some like otherworldly force?
Exactly.
And then how do we like reconcile that with the idea of like
yeah.
moral character?
Yeah, because, like, the Carmody brothers, they get this, like, incredible gift.
Yeah.
But is it really theirs?
Right.
And then Danny,
Yeah.
he has to fight so hard to prove his innocence.
I know.
It really makes you think, like, how much control do we really have
Yeah.
over our own destiny?
I know. Like, are we shaped by these forces
Yeah.
beyond our comprehension?
Right.
Or do we actually have the ability
Yeah.
to create our own path?
A big question.
Big questions.
Yeah.
So let's unpack some of the symbolism that stood out to me.
Okay.
So that red house with the green door
Yeah.
that keeps popping up.
Like,
yeah.
darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
It's such a vivid image, right?
Yeah.
And it appears, like, before they even meet Yilla.
Yes, it's like a premonition
Yeah, or foreshadow.
of what's to come.
Yeah, like it's planted in their subconscious
Right.
before they even know.
And the color symbolism
Uh-huh.
adds another layer to it.
You know, red, often representing,
It's
like,
passion, danger,
Danger,
blood.
lemon.
Green being like
Life, growth.
growth. Yeah.
Unknown.
Yeah, and it's like when you think about how their lives unfold, it's like
Yeah.
that red house represents this like untapped potential.
Right, this raw creative energy
Exactly.
that's just waiting to be unleashed.
And Yilla somehow
Yeah.
awakens it.
Yeah, it's like she opens the door
She does.
to that potential.
She does. And then the green door, right?
Yeah.
That's the threshold they cross
Well-
into this new phase of their lives.
It's like a portal.
But it's not without its like shadows.
Right, there's always a price.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, if they hadn't met her, would they have still achieved this, like, crazy success?
Right. Or was it all tied to Yella?
Totally.
Like, did she give them their talent?
Or just, like, awaken it.
Or maybe it was something else entirely.
Maybe. And then there's the case.
Oh, the glowing case?
The glowing case.
That Mark finds?
It's like it holds the key to their talent,
Yes.
but he can't open it.
He can't open it, and it's almost like King is saying there's some mysteries
Yeah.
not meant to unravel.
Like some things are better left unknown.
Yeah, or maybe it's about timing, you know?
Right? Like maybe Mark wasn't ready?
Yeah, he wasn't ready yet.
Okay, so let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about that hand in Danny's dream.
The hand, yeah.
It's such a disturbing image.
It is, and it's so visceral, right?
It's like something buried
yes.
that needs to be unearthed.
Like dug up?
Yeah. Like, what do you think King is trying to convey
Yeah.
with that symbol?
I think it's like this image of the subconscious, right?
Like the things that we repress.
Yeah, the things we try to bury.
Hurry, the
Like
voice.
the dog digging it up.
Yes.
It's like our instinct to like
Yeah.
uncover the truth.
Even if it's painful.
Exactly, even if it hurts.
I know, and it's interesting because you could also interpret it as like a metaphor
Okay.
for Danny's past.
Oh, okay.
You know? Like his alcoholism is
Right.
something he's trying to move on from.
Yeah, but it keeps coming back.
But it keeps coming back.
Taunt him.
Yes.
It's like it speaks to that like cyclical nature of trauma.
Yes.
Even when we think we've buried it,
Yeah.
it can still resurface.
It finds a way.
It always does.
Yeah. Okay, one last thing before we like wrap up this part.
Okay.
Jalbert's obsession with numbers.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
It was, but it feels significant, you know.
It does. It's like I think it speaks to his need for control.
Yes.
Like he wants to impose order on
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
chaotic world,
It is
and he's looking for patterns and connections
Yeah.
where there might not be any.
Exactly. It's like he's trying to reduce human behavior
Right.
to like a math equation.
Like everything has to fit
Yeah.
into this neat little box.
Yes, but life is messy, right?
Hey, totally.
And especially like guilt or innocence.
You can't quantify that.
No, it's way more complicated
It's so much more complex than
than
that.
that rigidity
Yeah.
and that inability to see beyond his like narrow perspective ultimately leads to his downfall.
Right. His own beliefs.
Yeah.
Blinded him.
Blinded him to the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but there's still so much to like unpack.
Always is with King.
Always is with King.
Yeah.
So we'll be back after a quick break
Right.
to explore some final thoughts
Okay.
and leave you with some lingering questions.
Sounds good.
We've been exploring some like seriously deep stuff
Yeah, no kidding.
with Stephen King.
He really gets you thinking, you know?
He does. You like it darker, and later,
Two great stories.
guilt, innocence, belief, destiny.
It's all in there.
It makes you question everything.
Like what is real?
Right. What do we even control?
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing that like really stuck with me
Okay.
was how both stories deal with isolation.
Isolation.
Yeah, the Carmody brothers,
Okay.
they're bound by this like shared secret.
Right, that encounter with Yella.
Yeah, and they can't even explain it.
And nobody would believe them anyway.
Exactly. And then you've got Danny,
Yeah.
who's like totally ostracized
Yeah.
by his community because of his dream.
Just for having a dream.
I know. It's like they're both carrying these burdens
Right.
that set them apart.
It makes them different.
Different? Yeah.
Yeah, isolation's a big theme in
Yeah.
a lot of King's work.
Yeah, feeling like an outsider, right?
Yeah, like you don't belong.
You don't fit in.
Exactly.
But in these stories, it's like,
It's more than that.
it's deeper.
It's like their isolation comes from these experiences
Yes.
that nobody else can understand.
But nobody else can understand. And it's not just like physical isolation.
Yeah.
It's emotional too.
Yeah, totally.
Even though the Carmodys have each other, they can't really,
share what happened.
they can't share. Yeah.
Like, how do you even explain that
How do you explain
to
it?
someone who wasn't there?
Exactly. And then Danny,
Yeah.
when he's finally vindicated,
Right.
he's still left with this trauma.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This feeling that like
The world's against you.
the world can just turn on you
Like, in an instant.
in an instant.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's terrifying, that sense of like vulnerability,
Yeah.
you know? It makes you think about how fragile
Yeah.
our sense of security is.
Like, it could all be gone
Like that, yeah.
in a second.
It's interesting though, because even though they're so isolated,
Yeah.
they're also driven by this need to connect.
They want to connect.
They want to connect. The Carmodys find solace in their art.
Right. And Danny,
He is trying to clear his name.
he has to prove his innocence.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to
Bridge that gap
bridge the gap. Yeah.
between their inner world
Mm-hmm.
and the outside world.
In the outside world, yeah.
And storytelling becomes this way.
Yes.
For them to process their experiences,
Yes.
make sense of what happened.
Exactly. For the Carmodys, it's their art.
Yeah.
For Danny, it's his fight for justice.
His fight to be heard.
To be heard. Yeah. So like
Big ideas here.
big ideas.
Yeah.
As we wrap up,
Look.
I'm curious, like,
What sticks with you?
yeah, what are the big questions?
That these stories raise,
Yeah, for you.
for me,
Yeah.
it goes back to that question of fate
Okay.
versus free will.
Yeah. Like,
Are we
correct-
just products of
Yeah.
our circumstances?
Yeah.
Or do we have the power to choose our own path?
Like the Carmodys,
Yeah.
they get this amazing gift,
Yeah.
but is it really theirs?
Right. And then
Danny's fighting against these forces.
that are trying to crush him.
Yeah, it's like,
It makes you wonder, like, what's
Mhm.
really in our control?
what is in our control? And then the nature of truth.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It's a big one, right?
How easily it can be twisted.
Twisted, manipulated
Yeah,
by
let's
our
not-
own biases.
Our biases, the information we're given.
It makes you think,
How do we know it's real?
how do we know it's real?
To believe.
Yeah, and how important it is to, like,
Question everything.
question everything.
Even the things that seem certain.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause,
Like Jalbert with his numbers.
the numbers.
He was so sure.
Sure.
He had it all figured out.
He thought so.
But he was wrong.
He was so wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we close out our deep dive
Right.
into Stephen King's You Like It Darker,
Uh-huh.
and later,
Okay.
I want to leave you with this.
Okay, shoot.
These stories, they're unsettling,
Oh, yeah.
thought-provoking,
Holy.
and, like, maybe even a little terrifying.
King does that well.
He does. But they also remind us
Of what?
of the power of the human spirit.
Okay.
The Carmodies, they find solace in their art.
Right.
Danny never gives up hope.
He keeps fighting.
He keeps fighting.
Right.
And ultimately,
Yep.
both stories offer this, like,
Glimmer of hope.
glimmer of light in the darkness.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's like King takes us to these dark places.
he does.
But he also shows us
Yeah.
that there's always a way out.
There's always a way out.
There's always hope.
There's always hope. And maybe that's, like,
The takeaway.
the biggest takeaway to
Yeah.
confront the shadows,
Face our fears.
question everything,
Never give up.
never give up
On hope.
on hope. Yeah.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed this exploration
Of King's World.
of King's World. Until next time,
Keep diving deep.
keep diving deep.